Let's jump in. Ryan, thanks for joining us on the pair program.
Absolutely. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, for sure. So for our listeners, this is another bonus episode of a mini series that we call How We Hatched. So today we've got Ryan Holmes, the co-founder and CEO of GreenT, an early stage software startup developing a climate software solution for the multifamily real estate industry. Ryan's entrepreneurial journey is, I'd say, far from that of the traditional tech startup founder, which we'll hear more about over the next hour. But again, Ryan, yeah, good to have you join us, man.
Hey, I appreciate it and always appreciate an opportunity to tell people about what we're doing. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. I know our listeners are excited for this one. So I'm gonna kick things off with a little bit more of a deep question. What did Ryan Holmes have for breakfast this morning?
Oh man. So far today, I've had a protein shake and a half of a sausage that my son did not eat going out the door. So it's been, I can't really come out much substance, but chocolate protein shake and a half a sausage.
Yeah,
A lot of coffee.
you led so healthy, and then it just kind of took a dip
I
towards.
should have just left the sausage.
You gotta have that protein though, man. I dig it. Good stuff. All right, so in true kind of how we hatch form, we're gonna get to the technology that you guys are building, but before we get into that, we like to learn a little bit more about the journey of the entrepreneur behind the business. So let's start there. Why don't you take me back to the days of a young Ryan Holmes? What sparked your interest in entrepreneurship at a younger age?
Man, we could go back a number of years. I remember my brother and I starting our first business back in Lakewood, Washington, probably the ages of like 7 and 9. It was called the Car Wash Specialist. And we basically retrofitted a radio flyer wagon and put buckets and car wash material and all the different cleaning material on the back of this and wandered through our neighborhood looking for cars to wash. We actually got business cards, which was cool, so we could drop that off for our neighbors. So that was really kind of the beginning of going, man, okay, you can make some money at an early age providing a service that people are willing to pay for. And so I think after about 2 summers, we called it quits. It wasn't a major multi-billion-dollar exit. I think we just destroyed the radio flyer and decided to call it quits. Later in life, I've spent my entire career in medical as well as property technology. So 2 vastly different worlds and industries. But in the midst of working in corporate America, doing sales leadership in both medical and technology, my business partner, James Nickel, he and I started a sustainability ski and snowboard company where what started as a total glorified side hustle and hobby grew into something kind of special called snowplanks. And we built bamboo skis and snowboards, really high performing, powder focused products for the snow sports. And after 10 years, we actually donated the company. It was a year ago, we donated the company to Oregon State University's Cascades campus, which is located here in Bend, Oregon. Cascades has, I think, the second outdoor product business major in the country. Really tries to attract people that want to go into the outdoor product space. I got a chance to lecture there a number of times over the years and always found such interest from the students around wanting to come and intern or be part of what we're doing just to get experience under their belt. So after 10 years of James and I running Snowplanks as a total side project, we actually were fortunate enough to be able to donate that company to Oregon State Cascades, and they have built an incredible Snowplanks Academy, an immersive student-run educational environment where students are now running a ski and snowboard business, and they're learning, on the job through education, but also hands-on experience what it takes to be successful in outdoor product, from marketing to sales to manufacturing to supply chain. So it was a cool handoff of the torch to a university and a group of students that are absolutely taking advantage of this opportunity and running with it. So that was kind of another stage in my entrepreneurship. And then about 2 years ago, started GreenT Climate Software, which we'll obviously get into more in this call. But
yeah, I want to kind of date back a little bit more though on the first couple entrepreneurial journeys. One, I have a lot of kind of empathy in my heart for those young entrepreneurs that are out there grinding at the age of like 8 to 10. I had a lawn business. My cousin and I called, his name was Ben, I'm Tim, right? So it was like B&T's lawn company. Handmade the flyers, passed them out all over the neighborhood, and starting to see that trickle effect of customers. It was just such like a little endorphin shot, and I love hearing each little kid's kind of like different venture. So when you have business cards, man, that's official. That's totally it's a big deal. But the snowplanks venture, right? So this is super fascinating to me. One is somebody that loves to snowboard as well. I know I've had some friends in our circle that have tried the product, and you guys have a really quality product here. And the thing that jumped out to me was well two things. Why did you kind of feel like it was the timing to walk away from it? Was there kind of writing on the wall that maybe this wasn't going to be the long haul thing for you guys, or maybe wanted to get into a different vertical, or what was it at that time that kind of created this opportunity to pass off to Oregon State?
Well, I think it was timing in life. Having started GreenT and really having very limited bandwidth on my end of things, certainly posed a challenge to giving snowplanks after 10 years the time and energy it deserves. So I think that, like I said, what started as a glorified hobby, starting in my buddy James's garage, actually turned into a pretty successful ski and snowboard business. We were a boutique brand based in Bend. We manufactured all of our product here in Bend. We used sustainable materials and did as much we could from a sustainability front with what we, provided to the market. But life happens, and I felt, and James felt, that at this point of our professional career, and it was time to find a new pathway with it. We could have held on, and I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs, you just hold on to a product for too long, or think about athletes that maybe hold on to their career and should have retired a few years ago and, should have retired at a high point. We got snowplanks to a really great high point. And I think also just the interest from the university and what we were doing and how we could really hand something special off to a university to run with, where now they have 35 students participating in the Snowplanks Academy program. It's been pretty cool to see what they've been able to do. So, again, it's our baby. It's something we started 10 years ago. I still ride snowplank skis. I'm still going to ride Bamboo out there as much as I can. But it's been fun to see, a student-run organization kind of take it to the next level, and they're doing some special things.
Yeah, it's a really cool concept. I don't know if I've ever heard of anything like it. I know that there's fellowships and practicums, but to actually in-house it as an actively operating, business, an actively operating startup business, such a neat idea that I think should be blueprinted across the country. I think that's that hands-on experience that folks need while they're actively in school to run a business collaboratively, and the amount of different departments that it touches. Just really neat, man. So kudos on that endeavor to pass that off.
Yeah.
All right, let's transition then to to GreenT, right? So obviously a very different space than snowplanks. What was it that kind of gave you this idea? How did it kind of come about? And then let's talk about what problems you're solving.
Yeah, well, I think it's a culmination of a number of things. think with my professional career, I've always gravitated to identifying challenges, identifying opportunities, and really thinking of innovative solutions that can help address. And you could relate that back to us starting snowflakes. We took a unique approach on manufacturing product and really found a cool niche in there that the market absolutely loved. Having spent the majority of the last about 5 to 10 years working in the real estate technology space, I've been able to really appreciate the way the industry has continued to evolve and what sort of hot topics or areas of focus the industry has really prioritized over the last decade. And there's been a huge evolution of things that the industry has really focused in on. But one thing that I noticed over the last about 3 to 4 years was an overwhelming focus, or you could call it panic, you could call it anxiety, but a prioritization around how we take existing buildings and leverage existing real estate to be able to retrofit them in a way to move them to a higher efficiency state. Some of that is coming through regulation. There's now 46 cities and states out there that have put out building performance standards requiring buildings over a certain square footage in multifamily housing or commercial to ensure that their properties are operating at a certain level of carbon emissions, or you could be at risk of significant fines. It's also coming from institutional investment pressure. The pressure for investment dollars to go towards cleaner, greener real estate. But also it really stems from resident demand. Every single year you see different organizations release their renter preferences survey. And what was unique is there was a recent one done that actually found that 4 of the top 10 renter preferences were related to sustainability. So the end customer of real estate is asking for their buildings to be cleaner, greener, more efficient out there as well. And in many cases, they're willing to pay more money to live in high efficiency buildings as well. So there's all of these kind of variables that were kind of, pounding on the multifamily real estate that has now left owners and operators of real estate with a dilemma in some cases or opportunity, which is how do we take our existing buildings that could be 10, 20, 50 years old? And what are things that we can do that will not only increase the energy efficiency and operational efficiency, but one thing, and we'll probably get into a little bit more later, but how can we actually leverage sustainability and energy efficiency for economic and financial purposes as well? Where are there energy efficiency projects that are actually really, really good business that help our bottom line, improve our NOI, improve the value of our properties? And that's really, I came to appreciate that there was this desire and need for a variety of reasons to figure out how do we take this existing portfolio properties and move it down a path to a greener future? And the reality is that in today's day and age, this stuff is, the process is incredibly manual. It's very, human focused, manual, consultant driven, tons of spreadsheets trying to make decisions that impact tens of millions of dollars of capital investment around what to do. And again, coming from a world of innovation and technology, I've seen how innovation and technology can help simplify, automate, improve the more manual things that are done previously. And that's what we're building is, sustainability solutions in an automated way that can help our specific focus of multifamily real estate accelerate their adoption, appreciation, but most importantly, taking action in the implementation of retrofit projects at the property level to yield not only financial benefits, but also to achieve their environmental goals as well. And that's really what we're trying to unlock with GreenT, is creating true visibility and transparency around how to do it and how to do it in the most efficient, financially economic, and environmentally beneficial ways possible.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was just driving around last night. My wife and I going to dinner downtown, like Arlington area, and
Mhm.
you can clearly see the amount of these apartment buildings that are just been built in like the 80s, maybe even later, 70s, 80s, early 90s. And, they're just the classic, vintage look. And you always wonder, like, you know, what's the last time anybody's done any sort of upgrades to this building, or anything about from like an energy efficiency perspective. Yet, meanwhile, like there's cranes right across the street just building the next new one up. And so there's this constant churn of new construction that's happening. But you guys are taking a real big sample size of this, these older buildings that there's just a plethora of them. So from a total addressable market, I mean, there's just an endless supply of customers to probably tap into. What I
Yeah.
love about your approach, and oftentimes something that you don't always see from entrepreneurs, is you know you did a lot of research before just deciding to build something, right? And that user research is really what's going to be the cornerstone to the heart of the technology. Whereas we get a lot of folks are just, they just want to build something, right? So they'll start building before gathering that industry feedback. And you guys seem like it was a pretty diligent months, years of gathering this information to really understand what the industry needed.
Yeah.
And so I applaud that. And I think that's oftentimes that's tricky too, because, sometimes folks that are, I don't know if you were just kind of like operating pretty bootstrapped at that time, but, some folks are just so anxious to get things rolling so they can get an MVP built to get that first round of funding. But, they've already built something that the industry maybe didn't even need at the time.
Yeah. You hit it spot on. And that was something that my business partners and I decided very early on, was that we were going to take a very customer first approach to the solutions that we were going to develop. So if we're going to develop the perfect solutions to, address the needs, support and improve upon the challenges, to help streamline and simplify a very complex process, we got to know what that process looks like. We need to understand the way sustainability works in multifamily housing today, to be able to then pinpoint what's already working well that we don't really need to address, and what's not working. Or as I would always end, our calls with sustainability, leadership with big multifamily companies, is if you had a magic wand, that magic wand could help simplify through automation or technology one particular or two particular things, what would that be? And I would leave every call that way, just to try to understand what are the highest priority needs of our customers. And let's go build solutions for that. Let's not build a technology and an enterprise solution in a silo and then launch it to the market after spending millions of dollars in development, and then come to find out that we missed the mark by 50%. And so it was that adage of slowing down to speed up. We had to slow down early and take our time to understand the true market needs, but then have been able to really accelerate the product development with overwhelming confidence now, because we know what we're addressing and we know that we're hitting on the highest priority needs of the industry. And the great thing too is that now we have partners across so many organizations that have been involved in our product development that we can continue to lean on to ensure that, and vet our solutions out, to ensure we're staying on the right path. Or if we need to pivot or new things emerge in the industry that creates new needs, we have a sounding board, and a large sounding board of sustainability professionals that we can lean on to take that feedback to ensure that we're continuing to progress or altering or evolving in the right ways to address the most pressing needs.
That's awesome, man. Well, yeah, kudos on taking that approach. It's not the most often path traveled.
It's tough because you're building a company, you want to just go.
You want
to go. And if we had, green lighted the some of the early ideas that we had as we were, ideating on what to build, we would have for sure built the wrong stuff.
Yeah.
It was through countless conversations, hundreds of conversations with the industry, that really gave us the confidence. And there's some common denominators across the feedback across the entire industry. So let's lean into those common denominators and build solutions that address those things.
Yeah, and timing is also an interesting thing, because who knows where, had you started earlier, had you been in the AI kind of boom that we're upon right now, and how that, is really going to be so transformative with not just your solution, but how you're scaling the business internally. Now let's geek out on some AI, because I think this is where we wanted this conversation to go from our discovery call. I want to lean into, obviously, agentic AI, but first and foremost, talk to me a little bit about how, GreenT has transitioned from what you might call like a traditional software solution to an AI focused kind of tech company.
So, it's really been, over the last about 6 months, that we've really been not rethinking, but really shifting our focus around the right type of technology that's going to deliver the optimal outputs to our customers. And obviously, AI has been a boom for a long time, maybe not all that long in the grand scheme of things, but when we first heard about OpenAI and ChatGPT and everybody's got it pulled up on their browser and playing around with it, there has been this incredible shift of interest into the power of long language models, the power of AI. How can AI revolutionize the way things are being done that might have been done so differently 5 years ago? So having come from technology, very successful technology companies in the past that have built more traditional software platforms and utilize more web service oriented software and dashboards and logins. We were originally going down that path. We've been successful down that path in other capacities. And so why not replicate this just now with a sustainability angle to what we're doing? But really through research and understanding and appreciation of the ongoing, march of AI, really got us rethinking on not only how we're developing software, but also how the customer wants to be met with the information we're providing. What was once, give me a username, a login, I'm going to go on, I've got hundreds of dashboards, I've got hundreds of reports, I can click through this web interface and be able to find all of these answers or try to find these answers. Now through long language models and AI, we can very directly and very efficiently provide answers to very complex questions. And we realize that the complexity and the data sets required to help make good business decisions involving sustainability can be very much simplified for the customer by leveraging AI automation, leveraging the power of AI agents to be able to support very specific tasks, for our customers. And at the end of the day, AI has also pushing us down a path of where the industries of technology are going. So the last thing we want to do is go out there and build a traditional SaaS software platform, have a lot of success with it and realize within the next, 12 to 18 months, we got to start all over because the world has changed so much within AI. So really what we're doing is we're seeing this wave of AI, continuing to build, and we're learning along the way. I mean, I'm the first one, and I'll put this, disclaimer out there. I mean, I am not an AI engineer. I'm not an agentic AI developer. So we're learning a lot as we go around how we can take our original concepts and our original value proposition and now weave in AI to further enhance the value prop that we had originally set to provide. And I think that can really be accomplished through AI, not only in how we're developing software, but also how our insights and information and data is interacting with our end user and our end customer.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's opening everybody's eyes up right now. A lot of startups are rethinking, their maybe that MVP and what they maybe originally had, sketched out on the napkin, and as they should be, and especially for folks that aren't using it to that are part of a company, and you're kind of doing a little bit of a disservice in the sense like you could be optimizing your efficiency quite a bit. Just get on there and tinker around for a little bit. But I wanna expand a little bit more just for our listeners
Yeah.
around agentic AI versus Gen AI, because what you're describing is something that we're seeing popping up all over the place right now from big orgs like Salesforce. These kind of pilots, right? These little co-pilots that kind of sit there and navigate with you. And so the easiest way to kind of differentiate Gen AI from agentic AI is to think about their primary functions, right? And so like Gen AI it's all about producing something new. Agentic AI, it's about achieving something maybe a little bit more specific. And so I always think of like an example would be like like your Nest thermostat or something, right? Like there's going to be an AI agent that could teach a smart home system to maybe better regulate energy usage.
Absolutely.
Talk to me a little bit about agentic AI being used at GreenT and how this is in your mind. How do you envision this kind of creating this enhanced user experience?
Yeah. So I think, the way we think about AI and agentic AI is again, you're thinking from a technology perspective, but you're trying to offer a more dynamic, a more intelligent approach to automation. So we have these long language models that we're all becoming more and more familiar with, from ChatGPT to Claude to now we're hearing a lot about DeepSeek out there as well. You have these long language models that can be taught to provide various insights or complete certain tasks. And the way I look about agentic AI or AI agents is that these are support tools for our customers that are available to them 24/7, that can provide instantaneous answers to questions that they have specific to their data or specific to other things. It can help enhance and automate reporting. It can, support integrations. It's more cost efficient in a lot of ways. So we're seeing the role of agentic AI basically being an extension to the human being to help the human being operate in a far more efficient and streamlined type of way. So you hear a lot about, are AI agents going to replace everybody? And I think that's like the greatest fear when you think about AI robots or you're thinking about AI agents. And I think the short answer is we don't know yet. But I think the most logical answer today is that no, it's probably not going to replace human behavior. But what it's going to do is dramatically enhance the capabilities that humans have to complete tasks, to run reports, to gain certain insights. Just like we use ChatGPT every single day to help us, potentially write an email that might take 15 minutes to produce, and maybe now we can write an email that takes 20 seconds to produce. Having that 14 minutes back of your day to now focus in on other things is just a great time investment for any person. And it's the same thing for our sustainability customers that we work with in multifamily. We work with a number of large multifamily owner operators right now that may have just a single person dedicated to, call it ESG or sustainability. And they're overwhelmed. Their plates are dramatically overwhelmed with so much. So imagine if we can take half of that workload and automate it, what that means to the effectiveness of a sustainability practitioner. You're maybe not replacing people, but you're maybe preventing the need to have to spend additional human capital dollars to hire a whole bunch more people with a budget that doesn't exist. let's instead think around how we can utilize agentic AI to really partner with the humans involved to further accelerate their capabilities, their productivity, and their success overall. And that's the way we're really looking at agentic AI out of a GreenT lens is let's empower our customers with copilots, AI agents, call it whatever you want, that can help them be superstars in the roles that they have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's the perfect way to kind of spin this, right? Because there's a lot of fear and everything. Everybody, I myself had to have conversations with my team about are recruiters going to be replaced? I was like, the fact of the matter is, I think you look at it from empowering humans with technology, and it changes the narrative a little bit. And you can point this to so many industries. You just described a perfect one with managing so many of these multi-tenant types of buildings. But we're crafting an episode right now that's dedicated to how AI is going to be plugged into like the SOC, like the Security Operations Center, where you have a shortage of security talent, security analysts, but two, there's a real problem out there of burnout. Because these are folks that maybe are operating, 24/7 shifts, you're on call. And when you're in that kind of like almost like a critical infrastructure environment, right? Having a technology that can kind of just empower you and bring to the surface, any incidents that are on the horizon or predicting something that could be an issue. It's empowering the individual and just taking a little bit of a load off, right? So it's almost like lightening their backpack a little bit. And so I think spinning it in that sense, like you see so many use cases with agentic AI where, especially when it's becoming personalized to you, your business, your data. I mean, that's just where it becomes like 10x more powerful, 100x more powerful.
Yeah. And you hit it perfectly. And I think it's going to be so powerful in new emerging industries and new emerging focuses. So take sustainability in real estate, for example. Multifamily, use a baseball analogy. I mean, multifamily housing is in the first inning of this journey around how we're taking existing buildings and moving them down a path towards net zero. We are in the infancy stages, which means there are not a lot of humans out there today with overwhelming experience, knowledge, and capabilities to come into a large organization that might have hundreds of properties sprawled throughout the United States and be able to absolutely crush it in terms of making decisions and making well-informed decisions and data-driven decisions. You don't have the long-standing track record of sustainability or energy efficiency being a major focus within multifamily. So what do? Well, we can wait 5 years for a bunch of people within the industry to start gaining experience, gaining knowledge, gaining understanding, gaining capabilities to go out there and be impactful to our organization 5 years from now. Or we can leverage agentic AI to be able to come in as an expert immediately day one to help support the abilities for multifamily owners and operators to be successful in this space. So I think what it's doing is helping fast forward a early stage priority of energy efficiency and sustainability in multifamily. And we're empowering the industry with capabilities to be experts or have the capability to be experts day one, not having to organically build teams and let them get years of experience under the belt, make failures, have successes, and then 5-10 years from now, we'll be dialed and ready to go. We don't have the time for that. Nobody has the time for that. So let's leverage the power of AI to come in and accelerate the capabilities of these organizations to be successful and to be able to capitalize economically on the low-hanging fruit that exists out there, not let the industry pass them by and then try to play catch up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really exciting, man. I'm glad that you brought the conversation to my attention. It's one that it's like when you find a car that you wanted to buy, and next thing you know is like you see it on the road all the time. It's the same thing when after we had our kind of first conversation about agentic AI, I just started to get article after article, maybe because my phone's listening to me, but at the same token, it just a lot in the news, you're starting to see a lot of this popping up, and it's such early stages of it. I think the Gen AI, has been out there. You're getting ChatGPT, you get the Claude. You've got all of these larger, kind of like large language model generators, but you're starting to see it now become these like subsets that are very personalized to end users and the verticals that they're in and the data that they're using. And that's where I think these agents are going to become just incredibly powerful. So appreciate you bringing it back, bringing it to surface, kind of hashing it out, defining it. But I want to kind of make a little bit of a pivot here, because the other piece of our discovery call that I thought was really fascinating was, and obviously going to be super relevant to our listeners, the founders, but particularly, is let's talk about how AI is helping you as a startup founder, right, in a very early stage environment. How does it have? What kind of impact does it have on your startup, like operations at large? This could be an episode on itself, so we'll try to keep it to within like a 10-minute, kind of subset.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think we are in a really incredible time to start businesses right now. I think that because the way and the strategy and the way we can build businesses moving forward is going to be much different than the way tech software and technology was built years and years ago. Now, I'll tell you, as an early stage startup, one of the core principles of any early stage startup is work lean as hell, bootstrap as much as you can, try to do as much as you can with as little as you can, need. It's all about, in early stage, it's all about survival, of trying to keep progressing down this startup pathway, preserving whatever investment you've been able to take on thus far, or preserving the dollars that entrepreneurs have invested into their own companies. So the question then becomes is, how can we accelerate the ongoing pathway of our business or our company's progress with as little in the early stages as possible? And I think that that's been a huge factor that we've also seen with AI across the board, is that it's not only a great end customer user experience, but AI can be woven into the internal organization and the internal operations, and allowing for startups to do so much more with so much less. Which is huge for me as a CEO, as I look at our bank accounts and I see how much runway we have and I see what our burn is on a monthly basis. How can we keep doing more with less in these early stages to get us to a point of, Series A or Series B or future fundraising events where we can pour fuel on the fire? But so much of an early stage startup is just trying to survive through the first couple of years. And the more you can do with less, I think, is a recipe for success for most, startups that are out there. Gives you a lot more runway and a lot more flexibility and time to be patient to get the company moving down the path that it needs to move down. So for us, we're looking at how we can leverage both internal AI agents to facilitate certain tasks that once, years ago might require me to hire 3 new people, and be spending $500,000 a year on 3 new people for their salaries and benefits and all this kind of stuff. In these early stages, that's really challenging for a budget. But how can we, again, leverage the power of AI to help facilitate so much progress in the company's growth with as limited of resources as possible, especially in light of, and probably for your listeners here who have been involved in the VC world or maybe taken on VC investment or might be investors themselves. The VC world of the last couple of years has been really challenging. So there hasn't been massive checks that have just been flying around like 4 or 5 years ago. So again, forcing entrepreneurs and business owners like myself to not be dependent upon the next round of fundraising to support, the next few months. It's how can we take a bootstrap mentality? How can we spin up products? How can we start bringing in revenue? How can we keep things progressing that will allow for us to be successful, whether we can bring in funding or not, or bring in the amount of funding that we thought we once need, but we only need half the amount of funding now because we found more effective, innovative ways to, accelerate the development of the company through more modernized technology.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of it's a time right now where founders have to be extremely scrappy,
Yeah.
do more with less, and figure out a way to extend your runway, right? And so
Yeah.
you're looking at all of the tools that you have at your disposal, and if you're not looking at AI as a part of that tool suite, then you're far behind. You're far behind, and it that needs to change. It needs to be baked into those early stages. And I find myself like using it in fascinating ways, partially in terms of like ideation, where oftentimes, especially for us, we're distributed, we're virtual, can't always pick up the phone and call my business partner. And so it's almost like having like a small little a coffee gathering with a group of entrepreneurs, and you can kind of flesh out an idea, and then take that to something of substance, create a, kind of this concept, and then, quickly drum up a landing page, all within, an hour on your own time. There's just endless, examples, but I just thought it was interesting that you brought it up because yeah, it's going to be intriguing to see how it's being utilized by different founders in those early stages and to what extent. Now, the other piece of the conversation as well is this idea of building out an internal AI kind of R&D team, which is a little bit different than maybe what we're talking about. This is this well, it could go a few ways, but this is a strategy that we've been seeing from a lot of companies that maybe are services based to start, but they have made the investment, a little bit of a risk, right? Because it's maybe not somebody that's a billable resource per se, but starting to prototype and building out a product in tandem to maybe a service that they were dealing with or delivering beforehand. Are you guys, how are you guys planning to scale out your teams in terms of the types of engineers that you're going to start to hire?
Yeah. So, you bring up a really good point, and I'm a firm believer in crawl, walk, run. I think we've seen a lot of companies fail because they've got so far out in front of their skis and they've tried to sprint out of the gate and they've burned through so much money and have found themselves down the wrong path. And now that company's out of business. And so I think that there's a lot of value in kind of a crawl, walk, run mentality where certain solutions can maybe start off from a service or consulting perspective to really vet out, okay, do our customers need these insights, need this service, need the support? Then you move into a process of, okay, well now what can we automate from this service offering that we can now automate through technology, spin up some sort of software that can maybe do half of the workload while still offering service and customer success on the back end. And then you're moving to more of a full-blown automation pathway where now that service that once existed has now moved completely down a process of innovation and automation. And so now, hey, we're in a totally different space. But by the time you get to that full automation, you've had all of this, runway to really vet out, make alterations, make tweaks, make adjustments in a very low cost type of way before you start investing tons of money into software development. So for us, to answer your question, we're looking right now as we think about the ongoing product development. The technology team really needs, obviously the right developers, the right engineers, the right front end and back end support and engineering support to provide, the optimal software solutions for our customers. But we can do a lot more with a lot less through AI than when we started G5 or started SmartRent and other companies that were out there, where it was just an army of software developers that were required to build traditional software, code every little element, adjust and rework coding on a regular basis. AI gives us the ability to do a lot more with a lot less, and to be incredibly nimble with the solutions that we're developing. Because AI leans on long language models, which long language models provide greatest value when it's learning and continuing to learn, and you can make adjustments on the fly that alter then the learning process for AI to yield more improved results for customers that are out there. So again, as a startup founder, and as I think about what we're trying to build, as effective a solution as possible with as effective and lean of a team as possible. And I think we can do a lot with a handful of team members on the technology development front that probably would have required 10 times the number of resources back 5-10 years ago.
Yeah, it's such an interesting blueprint that I think maybe is undervalued when you think about product startups, right? Is that's usually the end goal, right? That's going to get you your best return from an acquisition than a services company. But you also, if you're just starting purely product, you're going to have that overhead without having. If I'm just talking like if you're not like pulling in a huge, check from an investor, right? So how can I maybe prototype something out? I've got this idea. Well, I think this idea of, starting in a services environment as a consultant, getting a couple of customers that trust you. And then the idea of this, so maybe that's your crawl phase, but then this walk phase, this is where I think there's this interesting intersection of new opportunities for the workforce. We kind of ran an episode around it about how is AI transforming the future of tech roles, and there's this layer that's now becoming formed, which is folks that maybe really understand their industry well, but aren't engineers by trade, but they're problem solvers. Like they understand how to solve problems. And then the other missing link of that is they know the technologies needed to plug and play that'll help kind of patch those problems up or solve those problems. So it's not necessarily building something or creating something from scratch. It's understanding your industry and your market so well, but then knowing these types of AI, I'm going to point to AI tools that you can take to generate a solution. And it's almost enough of just give us like an early prototype, right? Just prove out that we can solve these problems with technology. You've got it's almost like a product manager, but not quite an engineer. But this skill set, I think, is going to become more prevalent. But that's where you have the ability to prototype, prove the concept, and then you start to hire up an AI engineer in-house and say, let's build something here that's tailored to our business, and that's going to plug into our vertical. And that way, you're just doing it smart because you're still generating that revenue from the services that you're on. And there's your first customers, right? There's going to be the first ones that are going to pilot out your product.
Yeah. I mean, there's incredible companies that have started down very manual ways through spreadsheets and through very simplistic manual reporting. You're providing an end product or insights that are invaluable, but sometimes it's not necessarily all that critical to look under the hood and know how those insights are being created and developed.
Yeah.
But it also gives a startup the capabilities to sort of, pilot out a lot of these concepts more in a service-oriented direction, see what people are willing to pay for, and also how much they're willing to pay for certain things, which might dramatically improve and help optimize pricing down the line when you're thinking about technology and automation, because now we have a sense that this customer is willing to spend $1,000 a month for these insights through a more service-oriented consulting fashion. Great. we kind of now have a sense of what the industry is willing to pay for certain things as well in early stages that can lead to real hyper-focused pricing and true revenue opportunity down the line. So you're not missing out on dollars that the industry is willing to pay for.
Yeah, it's well said, man. All right, so before we kind of put a bow on things and wrap with this the final segment, give me kind of give me like some things that you're looking forward to from an outlook perspective over the next 12 months, and then maybe the next like 3 to 5 years at GreenT.
Yeah, no, great question. So I would say in the short term, now that we've really fixated our focus around the convergence of climate technology and agentic AI, I'm really pumped to see, how we're able to revolutionize the industry in the way that we are progressing with sustainability. By leveraging innovative technology like AI. It's going to be fun now to take some of these early product concepts that we've now taken to market. We have paying customers, and how now we take this and move it into this incredible future of AI. So I'm really pumped as we, build out our team and really start pushing down that path. Product development now with a hyper focus around AI capabilities. Down long term, we want to build solutions for real estate across the board that are going to accelerate at speed and scale the way that, just like you and your wife driving around, in DC, it really revolutionized the way that we're able to take existing buildings and move them down a path to lower their carbon emissions. 40% of energy usage on a worldwide basis comes from real estate. 35% of greenhouse gas emissions come from real estate. Multifamily is almost half of the real estate segment that's out there. So when we think about, for a focus around, what's going to help us from a climate perspective, clearly a focus on decarbonizing and driving energy efficiency in real estate is going to really move the needle. Now the question is, how do we accelerate that? And that's what I'm excited about GreenT being, is that we're really trying to put a focus around the financial and economic implications of sustainability, really highlighting low-hanging fruit opportunities out there that are just good business. It's not just a matter of like, hey, cool, I feel good about our environmental efforts. It's like we're making good business decisions that also are helping lower our carbon emissions on a property level, which are also helping, provide a positive impact on the planet and, our climate as a whole. So we're excited to be really take that first mover advantage with the way that we're thinking about supporting the industry and be that household name in the multifamily industry when it comes to how to simplify sustainability and how to make the best decisions possible. They're going to yield the best economic and environmental results.
Love it, man. Yeah, no doubt a massive problem area that needs solutions. So we'll be cheering you guys on from the sidelines. Excited to see how it plays out.
Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to wrap with a fun segment called the 5-second scramble. So this is going to be a little rapid fire Q&A. You try to keep those answers under 5 seconds or you get air horned off. Some professional business, some fun. All right, you ready for it?
Let's do it.
All right. If GreenT were an animal, which one would it be and why?
We're going to be a lion. We're going to be a lion.
Dude.
In the jungle.
That's the number one answer. Well played. What is a skill that every employee at GreenT needs to succeed?
Purpose-driven focus.
Nice. What's a recent win at GreenT that made the team celebrate?
Oh, yeah, we just signed a top 50 customer in the last couple of weeks that has now come on board. That's true validation. Like, hey, people are top 50 customers paying for our solutions. So.
Hell yeah, man. Congrats. That's exciting. What would you say are some of the, top kind of tech roles that you'll be hiring for in the next, 6 to 12 months?
Yeah. So, everything from, CTO, full-time basis, to software developers, software engineers, business analysts to be able to help support our customers. Those are the main focuses.
Nice. What is a charity or corporate philanthropy that's near and dear to you?
Oh man, Oregon Adaptive Sports here in Bend, Oregon, helping adaptive athletes get on the slopes, ride mountain bikes, do outdoor activities despite having physical limitations.
Love it, man. If there's a specific like link, just pass it my way. We'll
I'll send you a link for that.
We'll promote it in the show notes as well. What's the first app that you check in the morning?
Definitely Gmail.
Nice. I was going to be like, don't say TikTok, dude. Don't tell me some unproductive shit.
Right to business in the morning.
What's a tech pioneer that you think would be the most fun at a party?
Oh man, I think Mark Zuckerberg would be a fun one. He's kind of moved from super nerd to now he's like doing MMA and all this kind of crazy mixed martial arts stuff.
He's a badass now.
Yeah, so fun to talk with him about that journey.
Yeah, I'd like to see him just get real lit. Maybe taking some shrooms and then ending in like some freaking wrestling match late night.
I know, man. I don't think he's a pushover anymore.
I don't think so.
He can kill some people.
What's the worst fashion trend that you've ever followed?
Oh man, it was so hot at the time, but puka shell necklaces.
Yeah, and probably some frosted tips.
There were some frosted tips 25 years ago in Ryan Holmes' life. But the University of San Diego is frosted tip.
Well, we've got
an orientation.
We've got a good bio headshot to pull for you 25 years ago.
Those exist.
Last couple here. So what's a hobby that you've picked up that's out of character for you?
Oh man. I don't know if it's out of character because I live in Bend, Oregon, the outdoor mecca of this world, I feel like, but fly fishing.
Yeah.
Love awesome. It is so peaceful, so enjoyable. Absolutely love it.
That's awesome. Last one. What was your dream job as a kid?
Oh man, you know what I really wanted to be? Like all kids that grew up sports, I wanted to be a professional athlete, but I really wanted to be a sports agent.
Oh.
I can't tell you why, but I just felt like that would be such a cool job to be a sports agent.
Jerry Maguire style.
Yeah, it might be. It could have been the next Jerry Maguire.
Yeah. It was either that or, running a car wash. Which also can print money, man. People make a decent.
Oh
living.
God, yes, they do.
Yeah, it's a good business.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, look, thanks for spending time with us, Ryan. Excited for the future of what you guys are doing in the climate space, energy efficiency space. You're an awesome entrepreneur, and we're rooting for you. Thanks for joining us on the pod.
I appreciate it, Tim. Thanks so much.